2.
We are back on Change Our Minds. I'm here with my man, Jody Joe. What's up, Jody?
What's up, man? I'm in the building. Let's go.
So, this Chadwick Boseman story is just a bummer. We've both taken our time to show our respect and done the tributes, and I implore everyone out there to go watch his work. I think a lot of people, like myself, I'll admit it, I didn't really watch all of his movies. I sort of saw him in Black Panther and thought, he's good, but I like the supporting cast in that. He wasn't a standout to me. The character and everything else is sort of more important. But the more I watched him and learned about him, the more respect I got. Dude was just an amazing person, and to know that he was doing all that work while he was sick, it just blows my mind. You never know what somebody's going through. Always be kind out there and do the best you can. Live by the best example, and I hope we all remember what he did and the work he did. And so there's a lot of work you can check out, from 42 to Get On Up to Marshall. Fantastic films out there that you got to watch and enjoy to sort of really get to the root of how good Chadwick Boseman was. Now, look, it's still early. I hate even getting this topic. We weren't even talking about it, but I know you've already sort of touched upon it. I want to sort of get there too. I don't want to get to like what's going to happen with Black Panther, but this clearly, the fact that he didn't tell anybody over at Marvel, like it's obviously people are mourning and people are still trying to get over that. But this F's up the Marvel schedule a lot. Yep. Like, you got to pay your respects. Like, I don't think you can just recast him. I think you got to take some time here. Yep. And that whole production schedule has got to be adjusted. And so obviously you got to take, time here to respect and not do anything. But I'm sure there's some Marvel executives who are having meetings like, what do we do? They don't want to admit that publicly yet or talk about it publicly yet because you can't, because the family's still grieving. But, what does Marvel do is the question, right? That's going to be asked in the weeks to come, in the months to come. Like, this is going to have a massive effect on its whole Phase 4 and beyond, because Black Panther was really the star they had left that I think everybody loved and was standing behind to sort of lead the team and make the movies. And now you don't even know if that movie can be made. Ryan Coogler made that statement saying, like, he's been spending all his years, writing this script that no one's ever going to see, and just how heartbreaking that is for everybody involved. I'm sure none of them are going to want to jump on to write a new tribute movie right out the gate. It's just, I don't know. And then there was a part of me that thought, Jody, I'm curious you're on this. Like, there's a part of me that thought, like, look, when you have time, right? When you know the time's coming, like, I would choose that. It's as rough as that is. Like, I'd rather know my days are numbered and how much time I have left, so I can do things to, like, enjoy my time or leave things for my kids. Like, there's just stuff I would be grateful that I had the knowledge to, like, come to terms with and do before I was out. And, you'd think if you had the time, which it seems like he did, because I don't know, I hate speculating on this, but it seems like you did. Like, I think I would think about Black Panther. I'd be like, what do I want them to do with that? Because that's going to be a legacy of mine that's important for kids out there, my family, everybody. You'd think you'd have, like, a conversation with somebody higher up to, like, figure out, here's what my suggestion would be, like, whatever. But it doesn't even seem, I don't know. I had this talk with Lewis off the camera, and he was like, they had to have done, like, health checks. They do that with any actor they bring in. There's stuff that could have happened, but man, the more I read, the more I'm like, I don't think they did. And it just makes this whole thing even more just sad and heartbreaking and a mess. Because this character is important, right? You got to respect the character. You got to respect the actor, the man, the legend, but then you still got to keep your business moving and keep these movies going. What do you think is going to, aside from the movie, which we know is now in serious limbo, do you agree that this is a big problem for Marvel? And what do you think, what's the biggest hurdle right now for them to sort of overcome? And how quickly can we even talk about this and start laying down new plans? What do you think?
So I did I'm going to release the video of it. I'm going to edit it out and upload it, because I was live when the news broke. And the tweets and the comments came at me, and it was a live reaction. That stream is taken down now. But it was shocking, and so I'm gonna upload that raw footage for you guys. It's coming on the channel. But, like, I feel like I had a tribute. I turned that whole entire stream on Friday into a celebration stream. Then I followed it up this Monday, which was yesterday, with another complete celebration stream for T'Challa, James Brown, Jackie Robinson, and Thurgood Marshall, aka Chadwick Boseman. all of the iconic characters that he played. So we're celebrating his life, his career, and then we had a really long conversation about Black Panther, and then we talked about what's next for the MCU. So it's dire. I do think Kevin Feige knew. We talked about that. I think Feige knew, which explains why a lot of the delays was happening with announcing Black Panther 2, with the rumors about Shuri about a year ago. It was rumors that he's no longer going to be T'Challa anymore. And that it all lines up and it all makes complete sense.
Do you think Coogler is just, do you think he knew, or do you think only Feige knew?
I think only like the top. I think he told Feige, because, you know, Coogler, he could have told him, but I don't think that Coogler knew. I think Feige knew, because you know that Black Panther as a franchise is going to lead into the future, maybe a decade. So I know that Chadwick understands that my character is not limited to one movie or two movies. He's going to be in everything going forward into the future. So he probably had that conversation with Feige, like, yo, things ain't looking good for me right now. So, you know, you might want to plan my future accordingly. You know what I mean? So
right,
that's
the thing I'm wrestling with. It's like, who cares about Black Panther in this, you know, mindset, right? Who cares? Like, it's like a man's life. It's a family. There's so much you got to put together. No, but I'm just saying, it's Chadwick Boseman. Who cares, right? He's like, but then at the same time, I think you would care. I mean, I would care. If I had time, this wasn't something I found out in a week and I had months. You'd think there would come a moment in that time where you'd be like, how do I want this? Like, what do I suggest? You'd think you'd have that, you know, moment. And part of me even thought, like, are there plans we don't know yet? You know, could there be, you know, at some point months from now, it's revealed that he did have a conversation, and that Feige sort of gets to say, listen, we wanted it to grieve and do this moment, but we did have a talk, and this is what he wanted. Like, is that, I would love to hear that, right? Like, that would make me feel more comfortable, and it would be nice to know that he was having those concerns, right? And that this is what he wanted, because the fact that he had that time, you'd hope he would have tried to think ahead and sort of because he knows that character is so important and is going to go beyond just be him. You think he would have spoken up on it? So yeah, I wonder, and I wonder if we'll find that out. I hope we do. At the same time, like, we're being selfish in a way as nerds of just like, who cares, man? This is such a bigger problem for him and his family. But, you know, obviously this is gonna affect Marvel, and they're gonna have to make some adjustments beyond just the movie. I mean, because you're right, because he was supposed to be even more. I mean, I think this affects so many things. Like, they were talking about Storms coming and Namor, but like, can you even bring those characters in now when you have to figure out what to do with that character?
They have to adjust everything, because I thought that I predicted that the whole entire mini phase that we're going to get before we get into the real heavy stuff was Doom War, was the story of Atlantis and Latveria and Wakanda at war. And I believe that Black Panther was going to be the one that introduced Namor into the MCU, and maybe even and bridged Fantastic Four and Doom together with Namor and Wakanda. I think all of that was going to happen. I think that was like the first little get together we were going to have before the big stuff started to pop off. All that's different now, bro. All that's different now. Does Feige continue on with Shuri? You know, that's something that we're going to talk about, but I feel like you need to wait before you recast Black Panther. I feel like time needs to go by, because he was so, if he wasn't so private about it, right? And it was so sudden, no one knew he was private, and he was so young and it's abrupt. No one saw it coming. He was in his prime. That's kind of jarring. So I feel like some time needs to go by. But then I also understand that when it comes to nerds and fandom, we have short memories, bro. This time next year, I feel like we're going to be talking about what's up with this Black Panther 2 recasting, which is crazy. You know what I mean? So I think that the MCU needs to make a huge pivot. They lost their number one guy. Once Iron Man and Captain America exited the MCU, Black Panther was the number one. It wasn't Captain Marvel. It sure ain't that trash store or that Hulk. It's Doctor Strange, maybe, but nah, I got Black Panther over Doctor Strange. He's the leader of a nation, leader of Wakanda, has the tech, has the smarts, ground-based, and he's cool, and he held his own with the Avengers. He was the guy. Now Spider-Man's about to leave. He was the only one to carry the Avengers, and they lost their life raft. They lost it. So MCU, I know we're dealing with the death of Chadwick, and we still are. We're still mourning. We're still healing. We're still celebrating, but we got to keep it a buck. The consequences of this, the after effect of this, is devastating to the MCU, and the MCU really needs to have a few options. They need to fast track X-Men, that's for sure, or they need to start to figure out what they're gonna do with Wakanda and Black Panther 2. If they're gonna delay it indefinitely, like we ain't getting a movie for like 5 years, or do the recast and see what happens from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I see a lot of people speculating, so clearly people are comfortable talking about this already. But I don't know, and a lot of people just, you got to recast. And I see both sides of this, right? Because it's like T'Challa, it wasn't done. Like that was a character that there was more to that story that needed to be told. So much growth. And him meeting Namor, and like there's so much, him meeting Storm, like there's so much to the character. So like, I understand why, yes, some fans are like, you got to recast it. But I also am like, you can't recast it. Out of respect, like that is just a move. If you do that in the next 2-3 years, fans will be upset. You can't please them all. So then you got to like put in Shuri, but you're right, she's too young. And then all these sort of plots that they're doing again with Namor and stuff, I feel like aren't as strong with now a new, younger Black Panther stepping in. So
we could explore Shuri. Like we could explore what if that's what I think the MCU is going to do. We know that they're going woke. They're female. She's a black. She's female. Double thumbs up, right?
I think she's a great actress. I liked her a lot in the movie. Yeah, I mean,
I like Letitia Wright. She's great. She's so kiddish. She looks so like she's like young. A child still.
Yeah, she's young.
She's incredibly young, and she comes and she's not mature in her character's not having grown that much. In Black Panther, she was a kid. She's not ready for those real world problems. She's not ready. It's just so much missing there that needs to form. Like, yes, she was Black Panther in the comics, but that was way in Ta-Nehisi Coates, I believe, run, which was like, that's way after there were decades and decades of T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? So, and she was shaped and formed when he went down. She became, because she was ready. She was already a developing hero. Shuri is not that in the MCU. She's very much a child. We've seen her in Infinity War.
Right, and she could become a hero in her own right, absolutely. But I agree.
In her own right,
to become the king in the movie that we were just like, he's getting used to being the king. Like we were at a phase in that movie that was like, cool, let's see what happens. So you're right. Look, it's no disrespect to Shuri, but I feel like they're going to have to make her. The comics do it. Like they were going to make that happen, I think, eventually. Yeah, but I agree. It's a little, now it's like, well, damn. So But I see people are saying this. I don't agree with it. But you got to recast Michael B. Jordan. But I know you believe that too. I just feel like if
it was me,
how do you do that? Unless Chadwick said, you know what, please put Michael in there. Unless someone told me that, I would just feel like that's to just do a recast or as Killmonger.
No, I think it's really possible. I think that would be touching and emotional. It'll be some really divine justice to know that they were best friends, and to have him come back to the role which he was great in and play the Black Panther, because in the comic book, Killmonger was the Black Panther at a certain point in time. He was
Black Panther. I'm just confusing. Are you saying the character, because he's already Killmonger, he's died, are you saying figure out a way to make Killmonger become Black Panther, or just Michael B. Jordan playing T'Challa?
No. Killmonger. The character that died.
When I hear recast
Panther,
him as Michael B. Jordan, to me, that's problematic. I don't think you can do that. You're saying Killmonger becomes Black Panther.
Killmonger returns from the dead like he did in the comic book. Killmonger died, I believe, twice in the comic book, and he keeps coming back. It is what it is. He's come back in the comics. He could come back again. Also, he was the Black Panther in the comic books at one time. He could become the Black Panther in it. All of it lines up, and it was so beautiful. Imagine how divine that would be to have Killmonger with a changed heart, understanding that Black Panther, that T'Challa showed him that sunset that his father never could, gave Jobu, which was his father, a proper burial. So in the ancestral plane, Killmonger and his father met in the ancestral plane talking, and they're understanding we're in the ancestral plane, which means T'Challa buried us both and gave us Wakanda burials, which means T'Challa didn't dump him in the ocean and left him with the ancestors who jumped from the ships. He actually gave him a proper Wakandan burial so he could join the kings of the future, and somehow with Dr. Voodoo or other characters bring him back. And then he could come back with a new heart, understanding that his mentality and his ideology was wrong, and he would feel for the king, and knowing that he's gone, he would feel and want to change his heart and he want to do right by Wakanda. Bro, not only would that make me cry like a little bitch, but it would also be freaking epic. That way we could get our Storm and all of it back again, and I think us fans will embrace that. We will embrace it because we're getting a lot of good things. You know, I feel like it'll work.
Yeah, it's still like Because I know Michael B. Jordan, he were like friends. Like they, from what I've
Yeah,
gathered,
he
they were
said
friends for
brothers.
years.
He said we were like brothers,
So it
yeah.
does feel like wouldn't they have had that conversation? You know what I mean? Like wouldn't that come up? Like what do you want to?
I don't think
if
so.
I was, I don't know. If I was, if my best friend was going through that at a certain point after months of hanging out, like. Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do at the movies? Like, do you got any? The conversation would come up, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. That's my only hesitation. I'm just like, I want to know what he wanted to do. But you know, it's a good idea. I think it's going to be hard to sell fans though anytime soon because everyone's going to still be mourning and wanting to respect the legacy. It's a tough spot, and beyond just even Black Panther 2, which is on schedule for 2022.
Yeah.
There.
If you announce that you're doing Michael B. Jordan and they do that, billions.
Fans will still be upset. There'll be fans out there that'll be, no, you can't do it.
No, I don't think so. And the ones who are upset, I feel like if they understood the comic and then they see the film, it would completely wipe that away because.
But then you got to justify killing him off in the show, right? And then you got to figure out is he in the he's an ancestor? Do you do a digital?
They could very easily have him in a ship and a ship goes down, or have him in something, and they could do something very clever to show why T'Challa died.
True, I guess you could say you just also just do a time jump, like they're mourning the loss of him. They're mourning the loss of him. Maybe you can find some audio from the previous movie to use as sort of as a you know.
I feel like he's the
Mufasa
only one. He's the only one that I would accept. You know, I'm a huge Black Panther fan, and I accept that because I've read 90% of his comic books, thousands of pages of comic book lore to body that fool on my Black Panther trivia. But that's neither here nor there. I've read most of his comic book history all the way from the 60s up to the 2000s. So yes, it could be done. Like it's happened. Killmonger has come back from the dead in the comic book. Killmonger has been the Black Panther in the comic book. So it makes sense within the narrative of the comics, and it will make sense in the narrative of the MCU. Plus, we get Michael B. Jordan back as in Wakanda again. He was the best part of Black Panther, and we'll also get him back to have him embrace, to see his heart go from such a radicalized state of we need to kill our oppressors to coming back humble, crying and loving and mourning his death, bro. You talking about waterworks in the theaters that we are not ready for. My God, that's a force, bro. That is a huge force that they could do here.
There's so much they could do here. And when we're looking at the schedule here, right, at Phase 4, like there's rumors, again, nothing's been confirmed, but there's rumors that he taped audio for the What If. Like a lot of actors had already recorded some of the What If episodes. And so honestly, if there's a What If with him, if I'm Feige, I take that away and I figure out how do we repurpose this for the movie to sort of do a better sort of finale for him, because you got a whole performance in that movie you could do with the audio to really sort of pay the respects. So I don't know. It sucks. I see a lot. An interesting comment came in. And it was well said from. Sorry, I just lost it. From Sean over in the chat. I don't think Chadwick shared with anyone other than Feige. He planned on beating it. He kept working. And that hits me because it's like, damn, it's so true. It's like just because I'm thinking he knew doesn't mean he was giving into it, right? It's just succumbing to it. So the fact is, that conversation may not have ever happened because he wasn't preparing to go, and that makes it even sadder. So, look, we have lots of time to figure it out. I think looking at the schedule, they got some time. They got a year to sort of put all this stuff out, which I don't think requires him or the character. Who knows what's going on with the multiverse of madness? But also an opportunity for them as they do the reshoots and prepare for that movie, which I guess that's supposed to come out next year. Is it still? They haven't shot it yet, though, right? They had to stop. So that movie. No,
I don't. What movie are we talking about now?
I know Shang-Chi had already started.
Shang-Chi's
and Eternals and Black Widow are ready. But
yeah.
I don't think Doctor Strange 2 has actually shot yet. So there's no way that's making May. That's going to get pushed because that was supposed to be shooting all during this pandemic, and it hasn't.
No, that's not going to happen.
That's going to get pushed. And so that could get pushed
Loki,
if there was
Hawkeye,
if there's any Black Panther happening in that, which is the only movie of the weird wild card of resetting things could happen in that movie. That's their flashpoint. In theory, if they wanted to do something, they could make that opportunity happen there. So who knows? But lots to figure out, lots more to talk about. We're going to trim it here for YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. Tell me what your thoughts are down below. I'd love to hear Chadwick's your favorite film of him down below, as well as any other thoughts or plans you have on what should Marvel do next to pay the respects. Do you not want to see Black Panther for a while? Should this take a rest for a little bit so we can all mourn even longer? Feel free to share your thoughts down. Yeah, rest in peace. Obviously, Jody, thank you for joining me having this conversation. If you're watching live, don't go anywhere. We're not done. Just clipping this for YouTube. Thank you again for watching, everybody.